Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us today for our session, which is using PlayPosit to scale a variety of training needs. I'm Stephanie Gates. I'm a customer success manager at PlayPosit, which is powered by WeVideo. And while I've been here, I've been fortunate to see how many institutions are actually using PlayPosit right now for this purpose of doing exactly that, scaling resources, which I feel like is just the name of the game right now. So I'm going to show you a few different ways that institutions are currently using PlayPosit and all the different ways, right, that training takes place. We'll see in our plan today, we're going to be looking at a few different ways that you could think about training, whether that be technical training, faculty and staff onboarding, or even professional learning. Please feel free to use the chat throughout our session today. I have a couple of wonderful colleagues that are there to answer any questions that you may have. And we will follow up with some resources for you after our session today as well. So first, I'm going to jump into a PlayPosit overview in case you're new to PlayPosit or just need a refresher on what the platform offers. We'll talk a lot and show you a few different examples of how training can look for these different purposes. I'll also show you that there are a few different ways you could imagine using various applications in PlayPosit for this need. And of course, we'll go through a few resources to support you. So let's start with just that PlayPosit overview. So I like to explain PlayPosit as an interactivity suite, if you will. First and foremost, we act like an video overlay. So whether that be you're using instructional videos from YouTube, from Vimeo, or a whole set of private video hosts, PlayPosit streams that video through the player and then adds interactivity on top of that. So there are things like question types. We have a whole lot of different question types, as well as resources. So it's very easy to use, but quite powerful. It's also modular in that way because you're streaming the video through and adding those interactions as that layer. So at any point you can edit either of those layers. There are lots of advanced ways to use PlayPosit as well, lots of advanced features to really make it a flexible experience, especially when you're designing those trainings. So as we'll go through a few of these examples, I'll speak to a few of those different kind of unique advanced features you could consider. I also want to identify this word bulb. So you're going to hear me refer to this word a lot. I get lots of questions about this, like what is a bulb? Let's set our foundation here. A bulb is anytime you stream video through PlayPosit and make it interactive, that's the end product that you're going to have. There are a few different ways that you can use these bulbs. So you can use it as a self-paced delivery option where learners are going to access it at a time that's convenient for them. Maybe it is linked inside the learning management system you're using. Maybe it's even outside of the learning management system as a link or a QR code or even embedded on a web page. We also have a way to kind of flip the script and let learners design this interactive video or bulb. And last here on the asynchronous delivery options are playlists. This is an application that's not included in every license, but worth mentioning, and I'll show you a couple of examples. But a playlist is a way that you can curate a few different bulbs together and additional resources like PDFs, websites, and many others. Last, broadcast. That's where the way you can actually use this interactive video in a synchronous shared experience. Kind of like an audience response system. So again, a bulb is that end product of that interactive video. There are lots of different ways that you can use bulbs. There are a few foundational benefits too that you don't really have to go out of your way to get the benefit of, right? I was talking about some advanced features, but like when we even remove all of the ways that you can advance features, the basic things that PlayPosit can provide without a lot of added work would be things like disabling fast forwarding and skipping. You can also monitor the last watch timestamp for learners, and there's an active tab player. So if learners are getting distracted and moving away to another tab on their device, that video will automatically pause until they're ready to gain back their attention. There's a lot of accessibility features also built in. There are, for example, searchable and navigable transcripts, closed captions are streamed through, and PlayPosit is screen reader compatible. And as far as content digestion goes, right, PlayPosit is really upping the engagement so that learners aren't just passively watching your video. So you can add in those questions, right? There's also an exportable notepad or an embedded notepad. So at any point during a video, learners can access that notepad and take down some key learnings and then export that for themselves in their records. Something to note about that notepad too, something that I really appreciate as being an instructor myself, is that I could actually go into PlayPosit and monitor those notes. No other learners can see each other's notes, but it's kind of like a nice way to see what are your learners taking away from this lesson. So let's look into a few ways that your institution could actually use PlayPosit for training though. Often PlayPosit gets to shine in the academic spotlight, right? But you can actually increase the value of the platform by using it outside of academics too for things like technical training. So whenever you're needing to present like you have new tools, right? New software that you need to get out a scalable training to faculty and staff, PlayPosit is really excellent for that purpose. Let me show you an example here. So for example, if you are using PlayPosit to onboard faculty and staff to your web conferencing system like Zoom, this example goes through how you can do this and provide a really personalized pathway for the learners. We can also call this like branch pathways. This example goes through, if you've accessed Zoom before or if you haven't accessed Zoom before, we're going to give you customized resources. Learners are going to get automated feedback for each interaction that they submit to. So something that I love about that is that they're going to see exactly what they're doing well, what they need a little bit of refresher on so that they can be successful. Another way I see PlayPosit used often is for onboarding, right? Every semester, there are new faculty and staff that are joining your institution, and those new hires need a lot of support for getting onboarded to all the different ways, all the different maybe like softwares or platforms, the institutional policies, procedures, best practices, right? So much content needs to be covered. And a problem that I'm hearing from a lot of different institutions is that that onboarding process kind of gets shorter and shorter as resources get tighter. And so PlayPosit has been used as a way to extend resources with that short amount of time. If you have a training video, you can use PlayPosit to deliver this training video and increase the engagement and even embed resources along the way. Right, this is something that can be used time and time again. So every semester, you can just repeat, deliver a link, a QR code, you can embed it on a website, or if they have access to a Canvas course for their onboarding or a Blackboard course or whatever LMS you're using, they can access PlayPosit from there and even have an automated grade passback. You can collect data from this approach as well to inform your next steps, right? What do people still need support with? How can we improve this learning object in the future? Also, professional learning is something that people definitely crave. This is a way that you can offer professional learning, again, in a scalable way. So we can support faculty and staff with effectively standardizing on best practices. So with this bowl, we can engage learners with a variety of question types and resources along the way. So here we see, an example of an effective lesson being taught. And we're hoping that teachers are going to take away some key learnings from this so they can implement it in their own practice. We can see that we have some strategies of how we want learners to engage. We also have linked resources. I have also been seeing and hearing a lot of rumblings for institutions using this for like TA and tutor onboarding. That's another area that I think people are struggling to get the information to TAs and tutors, bring them up to speed on all of the best practices and policies. All right. We've talked a lot about ways that we can use PlayPosit within a bulb. Let me talk about a few different applications too that you can imagine doing, or I guess focusing this training within. So here's that same technical training example again. However, this is within the lens of the playlist. So the playlist is a little bit different because it allows you to curate a number of bulbs as well as other resources such as websites, documents, images. You can even give directions throughout this playlist and more. So you'll notice that within this playlist, it allows you to organize and categorize these interactive videos and resources within modules. In fact, let me go ahead and open this playlist example up so we can look a little bit more closely. Oh, of course that would happen right now. Let's open this up a little larger then. All right, so we can see, hopefully I can get this a little less blurry for you all. Here are our modules. So you can organize this kind of like a light LMS in a sense. And each of the circles that are here are indicating a different bulb. The other icons here are indicating other resources, like we have some directions, we have a PDF. We can also have websites as well. So something nice about this is you can lock a playlist, you can unlock a playlist depending on the level of accountability that you want to hold. So if you lock it, for instance, you're going to require that learners start at the very top and work their way down the playlist sequentially. Whereas if you unlock it, you're going to allow them to pick and choose what they want to focus on, more like a choice board. So they'll have a whole menu to engage with. I'll also mention that playlists have certificates and badges that you can enable as well. So once they complete the modules that you've required, they'll be awarded that proof of completion. So depending on what you have available, depending on what fits your need best, bulbs are really great for delivering training in a scalable way, as are playlists. One other thing I wanted to mention, so we've got the bulb, we have the playlist. Broadcast is also available to you. This is not an add-on application. It's something that you currently have access to if you have a license. And this solution allows you to take that same bulb and deploy it in a synchronous mode. So it's more like a shared experience. I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek of this. So imagine if you're in person, you have a screen, right? Everybody gets to look at. On the learner's own device, they're answering those interactions and the questions. They can even download the same resources that you have within that bulb. So it's very engaging for them. And the instructor gets to control the entire piece of this lesson. So if you have an instructional video that you're all needing to norm on, you can go through this video together and have them answer questions on their own. It really makes for a highly engaging training. I've even heard of people using this for their in-person meetings, right? Like maybe you can record your slides that you want, put it into a bulb and have questions along the way. Make sure that everyone is highly accountable for that material that's presented. Within this past year, broadcast has also had analytics added to it, live analytics, so that as you go through this live bulb, you can decide if you want to share the responses. So you can show like, hey, this is what everybody submitted, kind of the distribution of responses, and you can also save those to share out with everybody. So you can hide or show those. So one of the main things I like to bring up for using PlayPosit for training is that there's a little bit of decision factor that comes into play here. So if your learners, your audience, all have access to a learning management system, that might be a really effective way to deliver this training content. If, however, your learners do not have access to learning management system, maybe they're just hired, right? They haven't gone through that process of receiving, the LMS creds and whatnot. You can also deliver that training from PlayPosit directly by a link embedded on a website or even through a QR code. And learners don't even have to log into PlayPosit to receive this training. So while I usually open up Canvas or another learning management system and show a little bit of a workflow there, I'm actually going to focus today on the workflow from PlayPosit directly, because I want to show you how to get these other options that trainings often need. So I'm going into my own PlayPosit account here. I'm in the section where you see My Bulbs. And I'm just going to pick a bulb to assign out to a PlayPosit class of mine. So you'll find that that's like the first requirement, is that you have some sort of class already created in PlayPosit. And the great thing is that you don't even have to have any learners in that class if you don't want to. So you'll see this is very minimal effort, right? I can give it a name. I could give it a color if I want to. Now I've got a PlayPosit class. We just need that as essentially like a place for our data to go to. So then I see the bulb that I want to assign for my training. I just click on that thumbnail and select Assign. You'll see that it next brings up which class do you want to assign this to, because we want to collect your data so you can come back and view this from the perspective of this class. You can assign it a due date. This doesn't actually lock any learners out of the due date. It's just kind of like a soft due date for you to have as a reference. And then you'll see you immediately get a link to copy. However, this link is really for learner accounts to access. So I'm going to encourage you to open up your advanced settings. From within the advanced settings, you'll see that you have a lot of additional options to make this very flexible for your needs. If you have your audience already set up with instructor accounts in PlayPosit, you could assign this bulb for professional learning. So professional learning is for PlayPosit instructor accounts. If you don't want the hassle of making sure everybody has an instructor account, this is my favorite option here, which is to, right here, which is to not require any login. So you can give out this link, this QR code, you can have this embed code, and that's going to skip that login requirement, and you can just have them enter in their first and last name upon opening that bulb. If you don't even want that hassle of a first and last name being required, you can toggle this on, and then you're going to be collecting that data anonymously. So you'll still get all of the information as to what people are doing, getting correct, incorrect, what questions they have, but you won't be collecting that first and last name. So lots of options for you. Hopefully you can find something in here that's going to meet your need, whether it is just assigning it to your learning management system or from PlayPosit directly with any of these options. Some of the data and the analytics that you're going to be able to collect on the back end once learners start engaging with your bulb is information as to the score that they receive. Of course, we get first, last name if they have gone through that step. We'll get the score as well, how they're doing overall in the bulb, and their completion status. Along the top here, these different icons indicate interactions that have been included within this bulb, and you'll be able to see kind of at a glance how learners are doing, right? Red's going to indicate they got it wrong. Green's going to indicate they got it correct. And if you see any yellow, that just means there's some grading that's required before we can say, you know, whether that's going to be correct or incorrect. And that's only required on questions like your free response or discussion if you've set those up for manual grading. I will say, however, I don't want that to dissuade you from using those two interactions. Free response and the discussion interaction can actually be set up for auto grading just based on participation. So every question type you can have auto graded if you want, or you have some flexibility if you want to manually grade for the quality of contribution. One of my favorite things about this analytics page are there's some great ways to get really quick feedback as to how learners are doing. So let me fast forward this along. We have this bulb analytics section where you really get a quick breakdown of how learners are doing across the bulb at a glance. So we can see the interactions that learners are really understanding, those concepts they're really understanding, what concepts they might need a little bit of additional support on. You'll also be able to see the average score and completion status as well. Not only do you get those analytics for the whole bulb, but you'll be able to see a breakdown on individual interactions as well. In the monitor page, you can also provide manual feedback if you want. I love this for when you're teaching or training small groups of individuals. You can give very, very personalized individual feedback and support. Let's talk about some resources moving forward. In your PlayPosit account, you have access to this customer resources page. I'll show you exactly where you can access that. And we'll be following up with some of these links as well to your inbox. So in this resource hub, you're going to see a few different options, including PlayPosit Academy. These are video tutorials to help you get started. Some of these are related to your learning management system, and some of these are how to use and assign content from PlayPosit directly, such as this one. So once you click on one of these, you're going to see there's an entire playlist. So if you have additional questions that we weren't able to answer today, you can hop in here and pick and choose what you want to learn more about. We also have more webinars that are going to be coming up. Stay tuned for a lot of great webinars this summer. We also have a use case library, and some of the examples in this use case library You can even click and copy these directly into your account and even edit for your own purposes. You'll see we have a few professional learning examples here. Please check these out, especially as they're related today. There's a whole carousel of examples below that you can peruse and see what might fit your needs best. This is our knowledge base. Our knowledge base has some really awesome articles having to do with different like tutorials and use cases. This is my favorite place, the tutorial section. Shout out to our colleague Jason, who's done a lot of great work in building these out. If you're interested in branch learning, for example, there's a whole amazing article on how you can structure some branch learning opportunities into your own lessons. Finally, our instructional office hours are happening twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at the following times. And the link to join is right here on the resource hub. Our team is just waiting, ready to answer your questions. And please, like, we are happy to see you. We are waiting for somebody to come visit. So I know some people are like, I don't know if my question, is enough for me to get down there. We are there to answer your like technical questions, your design questions, your how-to. We're there to hold your hand through any sort of design challenge that you might have. So feel free to take advantage of that. Last resource I'll share with you is our YouTube channel. So you might be streaming from YouTube today. There are a lot of great quick video tutorials on there that we have ready for you. So feel free to check that out. Thank you all so much for your time today. Please reach out if you have any questions. You can reach out directly to me if you want. It's Stephanie@wevideo.com. We'll see you next time. Have a great week, everybody.